Fresh pasta, carbonara, made by many, mastered by few. Today we're going to try and get there. Let's get it. So we're starting off with our pasta making. Now when you're making pasta, you've got to think of two things, the eggs and the flour. The flour we're going to use is a 00 flour. Why do they call it 00 flour? Well, I'll tell you why. 00 is a reference to the milling of the flour. The smallest milled flour grain you can get is 00. Then it's 0, then it's 1, then it's 2. There's also gluten percentages to take into account as well. Glutinous flour is a strong bread flour. They're looking at about 12% gluten. A plain flour for your cakes and for your scones is about 10 to 12%. For this, we're using a 00 pasta flour. So get 100 grams of that into your bowl. When I make pasta, I love it to have a stunning deep yellow color. What helps me with that? Saffron. So fragrant. Tiny pinch goes into the bowl. And you can make a water out of it and add the water, but there's no faffing about it. This is a seriously versatile, easy recipe for you to do at home. 100 grams of flour, small pinch of saffron, and 1 egg. Now I haven't put any salt in here. Why? Because you don't season the dough, you season the water that you cook the pasta in. A classic tip. I've got my egg and my flour in the bowl. I'm just gonna muddle it together with a fork. When you're doing this, you're looking for a crumbly texture. That's when we get your hand involved. We're just squeezing the dough together. Collect all the guppings. And the trick is, if you squeeze it together as tight as you can, and it forms into a messy ball, then the moisture level's just right. Out onto your bench, and we knead. So when I'm kneading, I'm pushing my palm of the hand as I knead and work that gluten in the flour. Fold it over, push it out, fold it over. Push it out and fold it over. So what's happening here is we're working the gluten in the flour. Now gluten is formed two ways, appliance of energy or hydration over time. So we're gonna knead this for about 5 minutes and then rest it in the fridge for 20. You could knead it for 2 or 3 minutes and rest it in the fridge for about an hour, but we're going old school way. Wrap it in cling film, give it a good squeeze, and rest that in the fridge. 20 minutes is gone, the pasta dough is rested. It's firm, smooth, and the saffron has just started to bleed out. So you've got these stunning jewels, these ruby jewels of saffron marbled through the pasta. So flour on the board, pasta down, we roll. So now we go into the machine. But Azza, your sides aren't straight. I know they're not straight. What we're gonna do is roll it out in the machine, make it nice and flat and a little bit thinner, fold it in on itself, turn that horizontally and go through again. You'll get that iconic band of pasta after you do this technique. Engage with the pasta and you roll. You always start on your widest setting and then work your way through the numbers. Depending on the brand of machine, it could be 9 to 1, thickest to thinnest, or it could be 1 to 9, thickest to thinnest. So either way, you want to get it about halfway until you end up with something that looks a little bit like this. And then what we do is we fold and fold back. We fold and fold back. The width you fold it to now is very much dependent on the pasta machine that you have. And that's just gonna fit perfectly for the width of the pasta machine that I'm working with. If your pasta machine is slightly wider, then at this stage, you make your folds slightly wider. It's up to you. Now, we flour this slightly and you push with your rolling pin and then you push the other way till it looks like a pleated blanket almost. What you're doing is you're dispersing the pasta. So when you roll it after that, you get an even band. You don't get these little bits and bobs all over the place from the uneven thickness of the folding. And then you just roll that out. Touch of flour again, and this is the stage where we can start to roll. You've got your iconic bands that are gonna guide the pasta beautifully into that machine. Start on the thickest, and we roll. So once you get halfway through the numbers, roll it and leave a little tongue hanging out the end of the pasta machine. Then what you're gonna do is take your pasta, fold it round, crimp in, and then roll through. And then you stick your hand in this side, and you created a little conveyor belt. Remember to flour your hand, flour your pasta, just so nothing sticks. Roll through on the thinnest. Now, if you're doing 200 grams of pasta at a time, you're gonna need really long arms, but this is what you should end up with. And that's it, your pasta rolled out. Take a knife, cut it off, and roll it through. The length that I cut these banners of pasta now is gonna dictate the size of my tagliatelle. I want it quite long, about that long. Next one over, and we cut again, and he's done. Tagliatelle cutter on the machine, engage the pasta to the machine, very gently, little tiny roll, and you let it work its way through. Hand on the other side to pick up the pieces. You end up with this beautiful saffron marbled tagliatelle. A great carbonara sauce should be a sum of 3 parts. Stunning, aged, salted pancetta, pecorino cheese, and egg yolk. Take our pancetta and just cut that into lardons. Egg yolks are going to be the binder for this sauce, emulsifying the fat from the pecorino, emulsifying the fat from the pancetta, mixing it with that stunning starchy pasta water and creating that beautiful luxurious sauce that we all know and love. That starts with an egg. Crack it open and separate the yolk. We're going to grate our cheese. I've got pecorino cheese here. Salty, creamy, stunning, slightly aged. We're going to microplane that over the yolks. Good pinch of black pepper, and then we crush that together with a fork. Caramelizing pancetta should be done slowly. I've got a pan here that's just gone onto the heat. Pancetta's gonna go in, and you shouldn't hear a sizzle. Now, as that pan heats up, it's gonna warm the fat up from the pancetta and render it out of the meat. That's gonna be then used as lubricant, as a vehicle from the heat of the pan to start caramelizing the sugars inside of that pancetta. It slowly crisps it up, turns it into that beautiful, stunning golden brown goodness. This pasta's been hanging, that's gonna go straight in the boiling water. Now, because this pasta's fresh and we're gonna continue to cook it when it's in the sauce, it's only gonna take about 2 minutes in the pan. More of a blanch than a cook. So now it's swollen, it's floating, it's blanched. The pasta is cooked. We're gonna strain that out. We go tiny amount of pasta water into our egg mixture. Give that a quick mix. Heat off on the pan, completely off. Hot pasta in, touch of the pasta water, our egg mixture, and we stir. And because the heat's off now, we're emulsifying and cooking that egg slowly in with the pasta. And once it's got to a stage where it's thickened, we turn the heat back on. While that pasta sauce is slowly bubbling, we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil, and that will just emulsify with that homogenized sauce. Touch of black pepper, and then we toss. And this stage is the mantequilla. The mantequilla! And it's the emulsification of fat at the end of cooking. French call it monte au beurre, monte of butter, emulsification of butter. And it thickens the sauce. It enriches it with that stunning olive oil. One last toss. And then we're out onto the plate. And to finish, we go pecorino and a little flicker of black pepper. We've got that saffron marbled pasta, made fresh and rolled into beautiful tagliatelle, lightly poached for 2 minutes with the water kept. Then we add pecorino cheese, egg yolk, crispy, aged, salty pancetta, emulsified with a tiny amount of olive oil at the end of cooking, and out onto the plate. Fresh tagliatelle made into classic carbonara. Thank you all.